Welcome to this presentation on individualistic theories of crime. Today we're going to look at learning theories and in particular the social learning theory of Albert Bandura. So without further ado, let's crack on. So just a recap, individualistic theories of crime hold that our individual differences based on our personality type, our experiences, shape our personalities, and they would therefore argue that the root of crime is in our psychological makeup and the development processes we've experienced from childhood through to adulthood. So as I've said before, we're going to look at social learning theory, which is that of Albert Bandura, and learning theories are based on the assumption that offending, criminality, is a set of behaviours that are learned in some way, just the same way as all our other behaviours. So criminality is a result of learned behaviours, and usually that's from family and peers. So Albert Bandura died this year. I'm doing this in 2021, June 2021 I think he died. We're now in November. His key ideas, well, he thought that when learning occurs, we learn by observing and imitating others. It's very much this idea of monkey see, monkey do. So there's a classic example of a child imitating the people walking in front. So we learn through modelling. Modelling involves learning by watching other people who are the models, and we then imitate them, and so we repeat their behaviour. So just as this boy is repeating his dad shaving, learning to shave, or this monkey watches the man stick his tongue out and then copies by sticking the tongue out there. So monkey see, monkey do. And this all then links down to role models. And some key terms here. Identification, and that refers to the extent to which someone relates to a model and feels that he or she is similar to that person. And a person becomes a role model if they're seen to possess similar characteristics to the observer. Usually the role model is of the same sex. Identification with a model means the individual is more likely to imitate their behaviour. So if you identify with the person, we're more likely to copy them, imitate them, be like them. And role models are also much more likely to be imitated if they're attractive and they have high status. So going back to my youth, I was very into, and still am into, a band called the Smiths, these four people, and when they were about in the early 80s, fans would copy the way they dressed, copied the hairstyles. The Smiths used to have a lot of time with waving flowers about on stage, and as you can see, these fans have all got flowers ready to go to the concert, and it was mass hysteria. Here we've got the fans at a Smiths gig. So for a long time, lead singer of the band was my role model. I even started to have my hair slightly like him, but there you go. Imitation, role model, someone that struck home to you. So there are different types of role model that we can imitate. There are live models, so those are people that are physically present in our environment, and that might be a mother, a teacher, a pop star. So mother here, Marcus Rashford over here, very good role model. Taylor Swift is seen by many people as a good role model. Then we have symbolic models, and that's people in films or books, cartoons, so fictional characters. And I suppose, you know, Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, Hermione, etc. might be seen as a role model by some people. And symbolic modelling, so fictional characters, is considered to have a much greater effect in cultures where the media is widely available. So if you've got widely available media, you will get symbolic role models. And this is quite important for when we come looking at things like computer games, the influence of videos on criminality, etc. So let's get down to social learning theory and Bandura. And his key term is vicarious reinforcement. And this involves learning through observation of the consequences and the actions of other people. So when a learner observes someone, they may identify with, when the learner observes someone they identify with, and that person, the role model, receives a reward for their behaviour, the person that's watching is much more likely to copy that behaviour themselves. So to give an example, here's Beth observing her brother cleaning up the plates after dinner. And you get, well done for clearing up the plates after dinner, you can have some pocket money. So she sees mother giving her brother pocket money for clearing up the plates. Vicarious reinforcement. Beth realises that if she imitates her brother, who acts as a role model for her, the same will happen to her. So then we get Beth clearing up the plates, and well done, says Mum, you can have some pocket money. That basically is vicarious reinforcement. However, obviously, this can go the other way, because if the role model is criminal, then you can end up with criminality. So here I've got a newspaper article that I clipped out. Come to you like Deliveroo, father and son crack cocaine dealers boasted about delivery service. So these two, crack cocaine dealing father and son, Liam Bolton and his son Liam, they've even got the same name. Father and son crack cocaine dealers offered a delivery service to users boasting they come to you like Deliveroo, a court has heard. Liam Bolton Sr., Liam Bolton Jr. were caught red-handed selling the drug on the streets of Swansea, then were then released under investigation and caught again just a few months later with large stashes of the drug hidden internally. So there you've got Liam emulating the role model of his father and becoming a drug dealer, so hence criminality. So, Bandura's theory all hinges on his famous Bobo doll experiment of 1961. And I've included this YouTube clip, 5 minutes long. It's from a BBC programme. If you click on that, it will take you through the whole of Bandura's experiment. So those that are watching this on YouTube, you just have to pause, copy the clip, and away you go. It's about 5 minutes long. It's really good. I thoroughly recommend it. But what Bandura did is he took a sample of 36 boys and 36 girls from Stanford University Nursery School, and they were aged between 3 and 6. And he was looking to see what happens, how do people imitate role models. And the experiment was conducted in a lab. The children watched a model, which would be the adult, playing with a Bobo doll. And the way they did it was 24 of the children watched the model playing aggressively with the Bobo doll. 24 other children watched the model playing non-aggressively with the Bobo doll, and 24 children saw no modelling whatsoever. So that way Bandura was ensuring that he had control groups. Then all the children, including the control group, were subject to what Bandura called mild aggression arousals. In other words, making them feel a little bit annoyed. And what they did was they took each child to a room with some really nice toys. And as soon as the child started to play with the toys, the experimenter then said, I'm really sorry, these are my very best toys, and I'm reserving them for the other children. So you can't play with them. So that straight away, kids are starting to feel a little bit peeved that they can't play with these really nice toys. The children were then taken to a third room, which contained some aggressive toys. So there was a mallet, dart guns, and then this 3-foot Bobo doll, which looks like this. It's like a clown that you can, that's got a low centre of gravity, so you can hit it and it rocks back. And there are also some non-aggressive toys, like a tea set, some crayons, cuddly toys, and plastic farm animals, etc., etc. And then they watched their behaviour through a one-way mirror, and as you can see from these photographs, the behaviour was interesting. So here were the results. The children who had observed the aggressive modelling earlier on, when they came to the Bobo doll, they acted more aggressively towards the doll. This kid here is kicking it, thumping it with a mallet, etc. And they were far more aggressive than the group who had observed the non-aggressive modelling. So those that had watched aggression towards the Bobo doll acted far more aggressively towards it when they were in a room with it than the non-aggressive modelling and the non-aggressive group. It was also shown that boys imitated more physically aggressive acts than girls, so boys are more aggressive than girls. And this also showed that boys were more likely to imitate same-sex models than girls because the modelers were of the same sex. So what did this show? Well, Bandura also did a follow-up study in '63, and he showed videos to children where an adult behaved aggressively towards the Bobo doll. So it wasn't actually an adult physically doing, it was watching it on a screen. And again, one group of children saw the adult praise for the behaviour, so they were being told, oh, well done. And then a second group saw the adult being punished for their aggression by being told off. And the third group saw aggression without any consequences. And as a result of that, when given the Bobo doll to play with, the first group behaved much more aggressively, followed by the third group, and then the second group behaved the least aggressively. So the group that saw the model being told off for the behaviour was less aggressive. They seemed to be learning. So as you can see here, this bar chart shows this. Boys and girls with the model rewarded, boys and girls with the model punished, and boys and girls no consequences. And you can see very different results there completely. Much lower here with the boys and girls. Now this then links to some case studies. So if we learn by looking and copying, there are some studies you can use. So I picked two for you. I would have a look at the case of the murder of James Bulger. Again, I've put a YouTube clip in for you, so you can look at the full case story. Those who are watching this on my channel, you just have to pause and copy the link. But in a nutshell, James Bulger was murdered by two 10-year-old boys named Robert Thompson and John Venables. These are the pictures of them when they were arrested in 1993. And they were said to have watched a video called Child's Play 3 just prior to the murder. That is Child's Play 3, an 18 video nasty. And these were 10-year-old kids that had watched this film. The judge, in summing up at the trial, said, "It's not for me to pass judgment on their upbringing, but I suspect exposure to violent video films may in part be an explanation." So the judge made that link between watching the aggression and violence on Child's Play 3 to what they did to Jamie Bulger. And if you watch the YouTube channel, it will tell you exactly what they did. And here you see the two children, the two boys, taking Jamie Bulger out of the shopping centre, and they lead him off onto railway tracks where they ultimately murder him. The other theory, the other case you can use is the Columbine school shooting. That's Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. They murdered 12 students and a teacher and wounded 23 others before shooting themselves at a high school in Littleton, Colorado in April 1999. There's a really good documentary by Michael Moore called Bowling for Columbine, which won an Oscar back at the turn of this century. It's a fantastic film. I thoroughly recommend you watching it. But if you want a clip from YouTube on the Columbine killing, that's the one to go for. And Harris and Klebold were known to enjoy playing a game called Doom, which was a game licensed by the US military to train soldiers to kill. And here's a clip from Doom. So that's the sort of thing it looked like. Quite an old video game. And that is a clip of Harris and Klebold taken from the school security cameras as they went around the school with semi-automatic weapons shooting the place up. So again, these ideas that by watching something, imitating role models or imitating the model that they're seeing, people copy the behaviour and then act out in a criminal way. So what are the strengths of this theory? Well, the Bobo doll experiment, where they changed the model's behaviour, aggressive or non-aggressive, and controlled all the other variables, it's a really strong experiment. It does show that the modelling of behaviour by the adult had an effect on child's behaviour. It shows cause and effect, so it's a strong experiment that holds up well to scrutiny. And it's got real-life applications. The results of the research in this area suggest the need to protect children from witnessing aggressive actions. It supports the need for things like the watershed and rating certificates on films and video games. And so that links a little bit through to policy as well, in terms of ensuring that we have this in society. And you can add that. I haven't put this in the policy one, but you could use that if you want to. And the study has been replicated with slight changes, and similar results have been found. So it shows that Bandura's results are reliable. But there are limitations. And this is a big one, and I've put this into subcategories here because it doesn't account for the role of biological processes in the causation of criminal behaviour. So, okay, criminal behaviour that runs in families might not be due to observation or learning. It could be down to genetic factors, so we can go back to our biological theories and twin and adoption studies, etc. Or Bandura found that boys are often more aggressive than girls. Now that could then be explained by hormonal factors such as the differences in testosterone levels, higher levels in boys that are linked to aggression, which again we've looked at in previous PowerPoints. The second criticism you can make is the evidence such as Bandura, because it's based on laboratory studies, some children may have worked out the aim of the study and not therefore shown natural behaviour. So it's possible that the children in the study were aware of what was expected of them. Noble in 1975 reports that one child arriving at the laboratory for the experiment said, "Look, mummy, there's a doll we have to hit." That sort of rather skews the results. And this would therefore limit the usefulness of this research in explaining the causes of crime. And so to move to our final slide, last limitations, we can say that social learning theory doesn't really account for opportunistic crimes, because opportunistic crimes don't involve seeing someone produce the behaviour first. Therefore, you could argue that social learning theory only accounts for crimes such as stealing, which are easily observable, rather than crimes such as murder, which most of us haven't observed. And then just because someone witnesses a crime doesn't mean they'll copy it. There are other factors involved, such as upbringing, personality, etc., which may affect whether or not behaviour is imitated. Hopefully you've found that informative, and I'll see you at my next presentation.